center of Bunny's look. Not just the buildings the Dark Zero are holding, but the trees that come a little bit further to the southwestern side than anything else. Chom Young-kung are currently set up there. Enter Force 36 have the opportunity to take them out, as this would be an isolated 3v3. We still got Kick approaching from the south side. Kick, another South American representative that we haven't really had the chance to talk about because they haven't made that much noise yet.
They definitely haven't, but now would be the way to do so. If you start getting involved in those early game contests, then you kind of don't even get to play the game just yet. So electing to kind of jump on over to Cascade as opposed to challenging Dojo at the wall. But, you know, with the zone favoring a wall rotation, maybe, but regardless, the fact is they're still alive. And you mentioned Enter Force 36. Well, I haven't really seen them since Split 1 playoffs. So they had a little bit of a roster change. They're coming in, and honestly, a lot of their merch was some of the sickest merch I had ever seen at Split 1 playoffs. So I'm really happy to have them back.
That's an important buff to any team. Having good merch. I said it on the desk. You look good, you analyze good, you look good, you play good. Got good merch. It changes everything. He knows. He knows what I'm talking about. Team Singularity, they got some nice merch. I do really like the blue on them. You know, having a nice rich blue is...
I can agree. I got blue on. I got blue on. We're all blued out right now.
He seems dripped out as well. He's got like really nice chains and everything. He's got a really nice earring that you can't see because he's wearing the headphones, but I'm envious. I don't have my ears pierced, but I do really like the look of it. So
it's pretty unique. But let's go ahead and think about where we were prior to this. And on Dojo or Voice coming from...
Kenyo Banjaku!
捕まえた。言ってるで。
I think it's a very likely possibility to see Dojo contest up against them. As we got the game unpaused, Northampton are right back in it. We were talking about Dojo's course of action on the opposite side. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They can either move over to Voice, as they appear to be doing, or opt towards Command Center, one of the few beacons left in the lobby, one of the few bits of information. Northampton very well might take that route. Well, Dojo have chosen violence today.
You know, sometimes you just gotta wake up and choose violence. So I'm really excited to see how that goes.
花火の材料はあらへんかな。
Taking a little bit of the high ground route to do some scouting, but now because he's got this sense, you charge it up and that thing will go crazy. We just need an opening shot on to Voice. We're talking about them. Powerhouse team that had a couple bit of a roster swap, but the nade! Fuzzy going down to an arc star, and I didn't even realize that was done and dusted.
難攻不落天道ここにある
花火にいい日。
That was a perfectly placed ultimate. Honestly, a really misstep on the side. Horizon ultimate that quickly goes straight. It's very difficult to navigate 3v3's course.
Yun ako, master di situ kaya orang Facebook ko sih. Ayo.
Ganzan Hachiku.
Gua nggak tahu dah. Suka-suka lu dah, ayo fast. Nggak taruh sekalian aja nggak bisa di hit gitu. Gua nggak tahu mancingnya di mana.
Kenyo Banjaku.
Suka-suka dia dah. Yang punya game. Apa sih maksudnya apa? Naruh di sini gitu, aduh. Maksudnya apa? Coba naruh monster di sini.
治療しないとな。どの目が出るかしら。痛がって花火にいい日。
Unfortunately for Dojo, having just expanded the Catalyst Wall, they don't have a lot of cover. This rock is the only bit that's still safe for them. Dark Zero should still have ordinances to layer in pressure on top of them. That Horizon ult, I mean, we've seen Dojo do some good things with it. Looks like Dark Zero about to do it to them.
Jen Burton throwing down the Dark Veil. They already had the Black Hole, and they are swarming around the Dojo now. We'll see what happens. Zero's gonna get cracked, but there's so much damage going out onto the other side. A Thermite trying to stave off, but another enemy team is gonna throw some nades, and just like that, Dojo are elite.
just the right application of pressure from Dark Zero. They don't over-push. They don't commit when they know TYK are on the other side. They just let this be a dance of
岩山八九
すぐに直してあげましょう。ようやくは
They pulled their back. Dark Zero have just done the same thing. They've got their own towards Cascade team. Cascade team, they've played it safe. That have sat in the zone and farmed up placement points all the way up until 9 squads remaining. At this point, though, once the next couple of zones start to close, that's where things get really difficult for teams like Complexity who now have to share space.
They have to share space, but they don't want to. They will have a favorable position in zone as a duo. Things can be really challenging. There's no way Luda's going to be able to get Reds back on the outskirts of this, so they're going to have to stave it off. RSG in hand, and we're going to pop the Bloodhound ult for the hands of Iron.
Doesn't look like they have grenades. At this point, the right play for IBG would just be to nade the staircase, and finally they pull out an Arc Star. Risky move not to use that beforehand to get the res off to Ziki, but now at least it gives Ziki the time to heal back up and actually become a full member of the squad again. He's going to expire. Providing the additional coverage and safety that it once did. You gotta hope that it's back up by the time you eventually have to leave this building or face off with Complexity once again.
We're going to have to hold off a few teams as teams look to rotate, but there's this massive migration that's happening on that northern side as Dark Zero do not get that favorable zone, so they have to rotate out of the safety of their building and straight to Cascade, so that'll be very tough because we know North Epsilon was holding that right side, so they have to fight forward.
As you say, it can only be North Epsilon that's contesting Dark Zero right now. Well, Tomyung-gung, we know who's contesting that. Enter Force 36 has been right alongside them the whole time. TYK gave up the rotational pressure that they had, and now have to fight Enter Force 36 on even ground. With that nade, it's become rapidly uneven. They're being shot in the back by Dark Zero. TYK have nowhere to go.
Enter Force 36, they said you may have not seen us at Split 2 playoffs, but we came to play at Champs in Singularity, knowing what is at stake, are finally making some moves around the rock. 17 points, but everyone's point sponge, so this is the game where if they start out really strong here, throw themselves up that leaderboard.
Great play from Elysium. Hitting a bat for a moment, making sure that he's pushing to support Bin. He keeps taking Team Singularity, moving as one unit. Keeps them from falling to a little bit more aggression from Dark Zero, and now they get them to make a push down to the low ground. The weak squad already, and Enter Force 36 get taken out in 7.
DZ able to take out North Epsilon on their rotation as well. So now that we're down to the final 6 squads, it's going to come down to all the teams that are still on the outskirts of Cascade, FaZe, Iron Blood Gaming, Blackhand, Complexity, and the 2 on the north side. Singularity taking on DZ.
These two know they have to kill each other as well. There is no way that you are sharing a rotation in across open ground, but with a sliver of rock between you, you're leaving too much to chance. And Dark Zero fortunately have priority on this rotation, so for them, they're actually in a slightly better position. Team Singularity have to move through the low ground, through the open ground, and hope that they can hold out as other teams from Cascade
Udah nggak ada
really
ini
cause a little
baterai
bit of
dia,
chaos.
udah
They
nggak ada
may be
baterai,
able to
ada
third party
shield
as they did moments before.
That's
Kasian
really tough
banget
for
bang.
Complexity as they've anchored down in that building. Yes, they've made it to top 6, but it looks like they might be
情報
out of
提
shield
供者
cells
から
and
知らせがあった
batteries,
わ
so they're barely trying to
どう
hang
や
in
らま
there,
た
but
新たな変数が現れたようね
coexisting with them on the underneath have not only fenced off that door, they are stuck in there. Complexity is going to have a tough time.
And let's not forget what's happening over here. IBG, they've got low ground, but right above them, it's FaZe that took this building away from NRG, and that is a fantastic spot to be in right now. Still a little bit complicated to extricate yourself from, but the only team that you truly have to worry about is Dark Zero. And if you can get a few good shots in, if you can push IBG to a position where they also have to deal with Dark Zero, FaZe have a genuinely good chance of winning this game.
They need to do exactly that.
悪くない芽が出たわ
Complexity as a
今日も
duo
引き
with
続き
no
サボりま
heal
しょう
is just
調子が
trying
良
to
くなってから
delay
仕事を一気に終わらせるわよ
perfectly healthy, have plenty of utility amongst them. And it's so interesting to see. We knew that Nemesis was incredibly powerful, but how many people have been crafting that
Gini gua
throughout
lapar
our
nih,
first day at Champs? A lot of Hemlocks, a lot of 30-30s, but even more Nemesis.
But burst weapon's just incredible because as soon as you hit one bullet, you're probably going to hit a few. And it's really nice because especially with the kick up, you manage to land a little bit more damage more often than not. Headshots here and there. FaZe, they don't want to gamble, however, are going to push up onto IBG. A nice disengage from Frex even keeps them safe. But only a few seconds left as the zone's starting to close. And now it's do or die for FaZe. Are you going to wipe out IBG? Or are you going to play the opposite side of the building? IBG, they don't come out on the better end of that
Pengen
trade.
pendomi
Now it's
gua.
time for FaZe to move. Time for FaZe to face off against Dark Zero.
They have a Dark Veil, they have a Bangle, they are poised and ready to make this rotation out, but Dark Zero, you know they have been waiting for this to happen. The fact is, Cody last alive for Complexity in a top 5 situation. Not too bad though, because they need every point that they can get, only coming in with 5 for themselves, and with Monsoon down, at least you get a little bit more cover there with the knockdown, but Snipe goes flying, and Snipe is 1 HP, and Jen Burton making the move onto Frex.
Another pause as we are in the final
この
zone.
世を
This
渡
one's
り
going
歩
to
くには
decide it all,
より多くの
but
身
we
分
saw
を持
what
った
just
方が便
happened
利なの
with FaZe
君にも
jumping up
いくつ
into
か
the
作ってあ
air.
げようか
Horizon
Ini mah keras
gravity
banget.
lift. It is a fickle mistress. Sometimes it saves you, and honestly, especially in ALGS lobbies, it can often be the cause of your doom.
Definitely could be the cause of your doom,
Doang,
but
Bang.
DZ and FaZe going at it. Blackhand looking
Sebelah
to make a
Bang.
play onto that rotation down on that southern side. They can just go kind of a little bit of southeastern and clean up whatever engagement is happening between FaZe and Dark Zero. Meanwhile, Team Singularity out on
難攻不落
the side.
天道万象
They should be able to kind of
終わりね
slow
撤収
down and then
言ってるで
Well, we're not this one. What's left of this game. We've been focused on FaZe and Dark Zero. We know Complexity is routing, and good job, by the way, as long as you can stay alive. Every position means so much more now. But the other teams that we've got in this lobby, Blackhand and Team Singularity. Now they're going to both be approaching from the south side, Blackhand a little bit closer to Cascade. Singularity is in the power position that we talked about earlier, holding a lot of open ground. They also are one of our teams, much like FaZe, that have the opportunity to win this game. We've even seen squads like Oxygen do it before. Oxygen, who are renowned for excellent team fighting, for fantastic coordination. We already know what Elysium brings to this squad. Team Singularity, their whole deal is building synergy at the cost of sometimes even their own stage time. Them being able to win this fight would put a lot of trust in them, all of South America, and most importantly, would give them trust in each other with this return to the international stage.
And that's exactly what we need. We just watched the Elysium interview prior to this, and it's almost as if that content piece hits right when they start to fry out in game. And if TYK and E36 hadn't necessarily stalled that engagement, right, it was supposed to happen a little bit earlier. TYK rotates to the north, kind of ruins the dojo's rotation as well, but then that fight eventually happens, and Singularity's like, well, this is the third party that I was wanting to have happen, and now they end up in such a power position as a result of the rotation.
And let's not forget what this is about as well. We've talked about the stakes for the team. A lot of this comes down to Vin as well, who is being put in the position to frag out, the position that Elysium used to hold, the position that brought Singularity to fame. Being able to execute in situations like this, even if you manage to find yourself in the top 3, as long as Vin is able to be the catalyst for why that happens, pun absolutely intended and enjoyed, you should be able to have a little bit more confidence after what has been a difficult split 2, and finally qualification here. And that is what the early days of the championships is about. When you are playing in the group stage,
ngebak di ininya, cowok. Pinjakannya itu
Dojo
ngebak-ngebak
going. We've already talked about Dojo very much needing to do that.
Babi.
It's not the only one.
I think I saw a sign that said Dojo's got the mojo, so I want to see that get kicked into gear for the last 2 matches on Stormpoint, because it just seems as if, I'm not going to say teams have it out for them in these lobbies, but it just seems like they are getting such unfavorable rotations from other teams pushing straight into them or making interesting decisions that I wouldn't have anticipated them making. So that's all about that adaptability piece. So we're learning here, we're on our 2nd series, and the teams, as they learn from our team's rotations, they're like, all right, so next series, that's what I have to make and play, that's what I have to change, and we go from there. But it looks like we may be kicking some things off in just a moment. Let's
Should
see.
be back into the game, so let's bring it up. This is, as we said, our final circle. Dark Zero still facing off against FaZe's Complexity have gone down, so have FaZe, leaving just Blackhand and Singularity in the way of Dark Zero.
All right, well, DZ, they took the power position from J-Lings early on. They knew they had to rotate, and they are fighting forward. Jen
gua nggak tahu
Burton
kenapa
going
dia
off, but
fight.
Trade is going to come Zero completely sucks them in Singularity.
Yes!
Clean it up.
Let's go Singularity, able to pick up the win. We talked about it on the analyst desk, and now, having come right into the first game of Storm Point, they very much live up to the expectations for themselves that they've set, that South America has set. The world requires to be met for the sake of the region. It's fantastic that we get them coming out on top, especially after we talked about how much this means for them as a team and individually.
We knew what the stakes were coming in. They told us. They were like, it is do or die for us in South America, and we want to show the world what we have at championships in year 3, and what better way to do it than in your second series of the day, their first, is making their debut.
Besk especially, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's gotta feel good.
Yeah, Besk, for those of you who may not be aware, may not have kept up with it, is the player that stepped back into coach role. Didn't see him sitting behind the scenes right there. He gave us the download on how they were feeling coming into the competition and how he was feeling and what it's meant to him. And so being able to prep up the team that ultimately takes the win was big to start the fight earlier in the day. Now Singularity get to have their time in the spotlight. But we had some really good plays outside of these folks as Dark Zero did control that really well. I think they made the right play pushing down. And we ultimately saw how important it was for Dark Zero and Singularity to deal with each other early. The very fact that Dark Zero didn't take out Singularity before the rotation in, ultimately ended Singularity's win.
It's crazy because they were so close to each other, and we'll get to run that final circle back and definitely look at that. But that's what I'm talking about. All these rotations, all the minuscule details are what make Apex Legends so fun. So now you can see it running back. Here's Elysium on your screen. Complexity eliminated as they found Cody. 4 eliminations thus far. That's a good one for them.
And immediately here, as soon as you see the push from Dark Zero, Singularity's own wall decides the course of this game. What is otherwise a 50-50 rotation, maybe we engage, maybe we don't. Get the player in position, and Elysium is able to go through the wall, managing to get a nice off angle. Support the team in this way. This is typically the way that you see the game play out, but it speaks to the way that Elysium has been able to succeed in South America by understanding the game at such a critical level. It's a fantastic game for them, a 19-point finish. But let's not forget, Dark Zero, they had their own things going on. They picked up plenty of kills on the way in, and the champions aren't ready to be dethroned just yet.
12 eliminations, a 21-point game. I think they came into match number 4 sitting on 31, so they'll be north of 50. But Blackhand, who was able to lead the Cascades for so long, able to take out 7 eliminations, as well as Iron Blood Gaming sitting on 7, so 10 points in a 6th place placement. Hey, that's not bad.
No, not at all. Complexity even picking up just the 4 placement points is going to be, I want to say, close to a success. Complexity do set their bar a little bit higher, but they're not the only ones that have a little bit more to reach for. We've got plenty of teams in the bottom 10 that do need to push that a little bit further. Gunbarioto-san, I think, for me, definitely a team that I'd like to see jump a little bit more forward. However, first day for them, absolutely forgivable. NRG very much surprised me, and pleasantly as well. They've had a good day so far, and this match, while it may not look impressive on paper because of the finish in 14th, along with 6 kills, makes it a very, honestly, solid game for them.
Yeah, it's really impressive, right? They start over there in checkpoint. They immediately grab green console information, hit that rotation, cleaned up a few teams, and not before getting third parties themselves, though. Sometimes Karma be like that. But as we look at the series results, Dark Zero have moved themselves up to 52 points. NRG sitting on 39 and TYK on 37. Singularity, though, with that win, move up to break into the top 5.
This is really big for them, and with 2 games left to go, we've got plenty of opportunity to jump up, even above 40 points. They could beat out our previous South American squad from earlier today. Putting these 2 up against each other, it's pretty clear how this game went down. Dark Zero's damage numbers specifically just so high, and it's due to the very active position they took on the map. Singularity in a very different situation, coming from Barometer that typically has a nice way to rotate into zone, but isn't a POI that's built for fragging as much as Mill is, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely can see that. They came here, they were looking to fight, and they definitely did, immediately taking on J-Lings right there, getting that building, and they essentially sat in there, were poking, prodding, trying to keep damage going out until they had to move, but this is what's going to be exciting. But guys, that was match number 4. We're gonna cut to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have match number 5.
難攻不落
かかれ火の用心さあはーっふっキャッチせっおっとえっ花火の材料あらへんかなほなえっ
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back. It's the Year 3 ALGS Championships. It is day 1 in Birmingham, UK. I'm SpiderTip up here alongside Dia, and we have 2 more Storm Point matches to cast over for this series. And Dia, that one was, I feel like, everything that you wanted to have happen with Singularity on top.
I can't lie, I was pretty happy about it. I was cheering on the inside of my inner Brazilian. I was very happy to see them succeed. And given the fact that that was just the first game of Storm Point, the fact that we have 2 more, and that Singularity wasn't the only team to have something really cool going on. And even though they went out early, NRG are very much carving their own path in this series, and I really love the autonomy that they've taken in creating their own legacy throughout the group stage. They're not going to take this one lying down, they're going to play aggressive, and they're playing, honestly, very differently than you might see them in a finals lobby, and it's to speak to their experience on the international stage. Take advantage of group for what it's worth. It's a little bit uncoordinated. Teams don't know exactly what they're doing. Go out, punish them, farm it up.
That is very true, exactly. And if they had just had maybe 10 more seconds prior to that third party, that fight would have looked completely different. But there you can see Sweet. He's probably planning out the next 2 games and maybe breakfast, dinner, and everything tomorrow because he's just one of those
急がなくてもいいのよ
to plan out 20 steps ahead and then go that route. So it's really cool to see NRG here. And we're not going to talk about the conversation we had on Monday when we sat down about NRG. These are your hot takes, Dia. So we'll just ignore them here, and maybe they'll come to fruition later, and we'll tell you guys.
いいとよ工作せえ捕まえた花火に行くで
When we get good Apex lines.
I mean, that's true. That's a win for all of us,
Yeah,
right?
NRG can do whatever they want as long as I'm getting good Apex lines. That's the only criteria, and that has absolutely been fulfilled today. We're about to jump into the second game of Storm Point, where we could see them running back. Very, very much so. Checkpoint is a fantastic place for them to be starting off. It gives a lot of flexibility, even more so than a lot of our other edge POIs, simply because of its slightly more central position while still having a lot of lootable areas, as well as smooth rotates out that nobody's really taking into Checkpoint.
I'm really excited though. On Stormpoint, we've had a nice variation of zones and even zones in Legends. So as we get into our Legends Select, a lot of Bangalores, a lot of Horizons, and obviously the Catalyst has been so fruitful. We thought that Split 2 playoffs was the rise of Catalyst. No, it's been even more powerful here at Champs.
It's fascinating because right now, the meta as such, especially around teams that are at the edge, really favors the Bangalore Blackout composition. It takes up 2 slots already. You got to decide what the third is going to be. Some teams have chosen to run with things like Horizon to give you even more aggressive capability. Catalyst is so valuable because of the chance that you run across a beacon. First of all, just blowing her up so far and being able to get so much more value out of that pick. And then even if you don't, the flexibility that she allows. I mean, I was talking to, I think it was Graceful while we were in the green room, about the instant deploy of just a little bit of stall, being able to play with doors as FaZe did just before their exit from Cascade, provides nearly infinite value to a team that wants to take a little bit of a risk.
Exactly, but not only even stalling, but the fact is you could go up into an engagement, reinforce their wall, deny them the ability to exit, and that is so fun to be able to see. But we know what also is fun? A little bit of Fusey as Pulverex makes their way down for that contest against North Eption. Now, mind you, Pulverex did lose the first one, and Onyx in a bit of a mix here with Kick as well. Raki, though, we need a birthday present. We need to just stay alive here and take down Kick. Kick did leave early on.
来た甲斐があった
Birthday.
岩山八九天理チョーク
Curse of
治療しないとな。
Horizon. Even very good autonomy. Now that Kick is on the route. So, Honors are going to have to disengage, and there's no support legend for them. They, unlike Pioneers, have not chosen to run things like the Newcastle. They haven't chosen to run the Loma that we've seen earlier today, and it puts them in a spot where it is fight 1v3 or wrap for the rest of the game. It's not a decision that I envy.
Yeah, that's going to be actually really tough. You know, Kick coming here from initially going towards the wall, but they're finding the success that they need. And Onyx did have some roster changes coming into Champs. Their prior player had already went over to Moist Esports and joined that roster, so it has left them maybe a little more vulnerable. So Kick felt confident in going here, but let's check in at Thunderwatch. Is that a little bit of Pulverex? Are they the last ones standing?
Oh yeah, and feeling quite good about it as well. That's 6 points that's been collected for them over the course of the past 2 games. So Pulverex come out on top, and that's with the less initially aggressive composition as well. They're running Catalyst and Fuse that really benefits from their positions in zone later in the game. They're not really paying any respect to the contest that North Eption are giving them. They're fighting it fantastically, but compositionally, they're just saying, well, we can beat you no matter what, and they're doing it.
What's really unique about them, right, is you think back to when they saw them on scrims or even in Split 2 playoffs, they ran a lot of MOBA, especially on World's Edge and even Crypto. So moving on to such an aggressive comp here, it just isn't going to allow them to shine. But Fuse, when you're contesting, is everything that you need. But DZ working their way out of the mill, hitting the trident for a nice little rotation as we have yet again what appears to be another central zone on Stormpoint.
And I can't help but look at this and go, wow, triple purples and a trident. Mill is crazy. Mill feels so good. And it puts Dark Zero in this position where, as one of the teams that's fought and won Mill so many times, they can abuse that power and get it to the point where this trident rotation that would be risky for any other team, that was risky for Pioneers last game, just puts them in the center of a map. And a map that, as you say, is closing almost directly on top of them. Moist have taken a slightly different approach, and they, to be honest, had a little more go, starting over by Command Center. They put themselves on this slope that should provide them a decent bit of security towards the end game. It's not a particularly coveted position, and that alone should keep them nice and topped up. Not a whole lot jumping on top of you.
剣女盤石
interest. We saw them go out of the hands of Dark Zero in the last map, but now with JMW already done and dusted, Nag is going to
ようやくは口に見ますさあ苦尽甘来です
気ぃつけるぜ
And if you are planning to play zone and perhaps be a little bit more
中身はなんやろな。
I've talked to other IGLs about the power of crypto as well. At face value, being able to throw out a drone, having to jump into the drone, it may not seem like it would provide an incredible amount of power, but the reality is that in competitive play and coordinated play, quick snapshots that you can get of everything around you. You don't have to rely on your team comms. You don't have to rely on imperfect or miscommunicated information. You can literally just see everything that's going on. It provides IGLs a fantastic way to make sure that they are making the right calls, to trust in their team, to follow what they're saying, and not have to do the two-way communication path. It was Kashera who was really an advocate for this pick a little while ago, and unfortunately haven't seen too much of it today, but I do like that J-Lings are prioritizing it, though the position they held will be a little more difficult now they don't have a Watson. Tom Young-Kung on the other side, they've got a whole different set of problems. They're outside the zone, but that's really just about it. Their comp itself, I don't dislike.
It's pretty strong, but this is going to be a very tough rotation, seeing as how many teams
花
have
火はパッ
already
と聞いて
made
まう
their
けど
way over
友情は一生もんや。
nearby. You mentioned Moist earlier, coming from command center, the short rotation for them, but so much action, and the dojo just cannot have a break after this early game. Does get taken down, but immediately prioritizes the smoke and res, but not before Enter Force 36 decides this is an opportunity that we would like to expand on, and there's something to be said about the Havoc. You don't really see it in too many hands, and it goes crazy, but the double AR, Enter Force 36, pushing straight in, and the dojo will be eliminated. IOI gonna clutch it up and hit for the quick res.
That was way too close for comfort, having lost two in the span of a second enemy. Really earning his paycheck for a moment. Ultimately, Enter Force 36 do pick up kills, and they're kills that they did not have to grab either. It was even a little bit risky to go on a push, even after they got the knock, simply because of the possible presence of other teams. They were decisive, they went for it, it got them an additional 3 points. Now, in a slightly worse off position, they do need to find their rotate back, but at least they've got the temporary benefit of a few
Orang
points.
gila mana lagi pakai Havok sambil terbang spray
Yeah,
anjing.
NRG and Kick would be the nearest teams, and they're electing to hold their position. Kick is actually sitting on a survey beacon, so they can use that to deny anyone from pushing that area. But you can see right there, J-Lings once again calling another zone. Have already made it from High Point down there, and Dasky, Zerdel, and Zane as well.
How do they do it? How do J-Lings do it? I know, beacons aside, zone predictions are hard, and this was what they became known for at Split 2 playoffs, was just flawlessly being exactly in the center of zone. They're continuing to manufacture this result, although down a member,
花火は
it is
パッ
going
と
to be a
聞い
little
て
bit
まうけ
less
ど
valuable for them.
友情は一生
Pioneers
もんや。
on the opposite side of this ring are going to be moving up from this southeastern side of the map. It'll be a slow move for them, but over by Launchpad, you've got IBG who could rotate up behind them. So it's going to be a slow play, as there's plenty of squads in the area, and this traffic jam as it is tends to provide a little bit of safety, even if it seems tense.
Yeah, Thomas Jr. here, revving up the Rampage, and we've seen a lot more Rampages today as well. It's also kind of like a wild card weapon pick, but it's so nice, especially when you need to break down Catalyst reinforced doors, the black hole being expended, and frags to double down as they make their push across to KCP, but electing to play that Newcastle on Zerdel, they're not going to have a Jenny.
Ya
A quick pause
Allah.
gets thrown our
Nge-lag
way, and
lagi
the
dong.
Pioneers going to take a moment and really think about the way they want to handle this push. There are a lot of options
Lawak,
to
lawak.
deal with it. A mobile shield, of course, providing them good damage options if they need. They can post up inside this building.
PC-nya kemana kepanasan
Spikes.
anjing.
But importantly, right now, Zane is separated from the squad. Did a decent amount of damage onto Tommy as they came in. But since he's trapped on the outside of the
Ini
building,
belum bocor.
there is a momentary weakness in KCP at the moment. It could be taken.
難攻不落天道ここにあり
Want to see who plays this game?
痛がっちゃいね。火の用心。 花火の材料はあらへんかな。
of that black hole, and that's exactly what that Horizon had, and immediately starts throwing them inside the building with Zerdel on the Newcastle, as opposed to Watson, as historically had been played. They're not going to have that Jenny, and you think of what's the Newcastle's worst nightmare if you have a wall down?
What's the
grab a knock and
Right back with the squad as well. This was the secret weapon of Pioneers. I asked Naski, how you planning to win? What's your whole deal going into championships? And his answer was Zane. That was the whole thing. I'm just gonna throw Zane at people, and if it works, it works. Right now, it's working. They got they got a nice little corner of heaven there. Meanwhile, Alliance, perhaps not heavenly, but at least safe for the moment.
All right, Alliance, probably has a radio out there somewhere. I saw their setup. They've got radios in the merch booth, which is the coolest things ever. And as they push forward, then Yuki and Hack is working together inside the building, trying to make sure that that team does not push onto them. Kind of what was happening to KCP, the Dark Veil being expended, but Yuki still has his.
No, we've got two squads around Alliance. We've got Gumbar Eotosan and Enterforce 36. Kick just went down a moment ago. NRG taking them out. And Alliance are playing aggressive now on the outside of the building, not giving up high ground, but definitely skirting the borders of safety as they battle for control of this building against two squads.
Arcstar's incoming, but Yuki using the stairway to hold off as Ironblood Gaming falls alongside FC Destroy and trying to peek through, but no Digi is going to be on that car, but the reinforcement of the door will stall just enough.
The confidence from Yuki, knowing that he's got coverage from his team, gives them so much more ability to stabilize and push these two other squads together. Enterforce 36 and Gumbar Eotosan, they've got no choice but to deal with each other because they simply can't walk up and straight up deal with Alliance. And now we are going to have other squads joining the fray. It's just been simply too long. And Gumbar Eotosan, I think, make the right call, disengaging a little bit because Team Singularity just rolled up. We could have two separate 3v3s going down, but Aimbot goes down. Enterforce 36 are taken out, and we're right back to the three-squad tango.
And this is exactly what they needed, rolling off the confidence of their prior match win, and some things to be said about throwing the grab lift inside a building to defer on that push. It forces them out the other side. They're expending the Bangalore ultimate, and now they're going to prioritize potentially rotating ahead of this and maybe cleaning it up after, but Geo has to keep moving, and Alliance has not left their building.
And Alliance have been fantastically coordinated so far. Very few gaps in the defense, and they've really managed to post up against two squads. However, the rotation is still going to be a problem, and their coordination, as much as it has saved their lives so far, is a lot more difficult out in the open, where Catalyst with the Dark Veil can do great things, but provides so much less in terms of actual solid cover that you can use in the form of these doors. So Alliance will be slow playing this, about a minute left as they need to rotate into the zone. A zone that, by the way, Dark Zero predicted really well. They still got so far ahead of the competition and managed to secure themselves a decent position. So looking towards the next couple of rings, they're going to be playing things out of the south, Black Hand having priority over the north or high ground of the upcoming zone.
Well, I love this rotation here from Gumbar Eotosan. They were able to negative rotate out of the ring, just kind of navigating on the other side of the mountain and coming in from that high ground area. So now they'll be able to walk around and see potentially a free building. That doesn't happen too very often. And now going towards Stormcatcher, you have to think about the survivability and the ability here to play on multiple levels. We got Nags and Noises there on the right side, and then Pulverex, who won the contest against North Eption, have made their way down here from Thunderwatch. Not a bad rotation, right? Just a couple grabs.
Not at all. It's been a pretty bloody game. We're only in Zone 3, and we've got 11 teams left. There's been such a culling around the outside of the zone, but there are still plenty of spots available when you really think about how to play out the later stages of the game. Dark Zero, as we said, play towards the south, Black Hand towards the north, but Moist are taking up way more space than they really need to or should be allowed to by any team. Alliance now are starting to pressure DZ, and this could become more crowded. We could also just kill each other.
Well, I think this is smart, right? Alliance, they only had a couple options. They could have went north like Gombre. They could have went straight through the choke point where Team Singularity was, but rotating around and taking the south side led them right to your Split 2 playoffs champs. And now we have an essential isolated 3v3. Both Dark Veils have been expended and everyone's really healthy, but Zero's got a Kraber.
Okay, well, we know this guy can turn a fight on a dime. Rising Gravity Lift is going to let Dark Zero escape the entirety of damage coming through from the Bangalore ultimate. However, Zero gets tagged by it. Tanks a little bit of zone damage as well, and is in a bit of a risky spot. Not a whole lot of cover until you get closer to the Grav Cannon. Not quite safe enough, not quite quick enough. We'll see if this gets sniffed out by Alliance, because Mandy is going on the scout.
You call out the Kraber, they're the first that needs to go down, and Mandy, the super sub, going big, able to take out Dark Zero. Now retreating just a smidge to heal up, and they are isolated on the south side, but they have their work cut out for them, trying to make it north to that next ring. But lo and behold, scanned by a survey beacon, someone wants to come out to play.
Ooh, and they got another team looking at them as well. Team Singularity, look down from above. In comes the nade plus Horizon ult, and Mandy has to jump over the wall, disengaging from the rest of the squad, leaving Hakis and Yuki alone without a gravity lift. However, Singularity draw a lot of attention to themselves, and Elysium goes down there, up creep without a paddle, and we got an Arc Star in there.
We've got an Arc Star, and we've got to listen in. Let's jump on board with Alliance.
Yeah, let's go, let's go. Go Manade, go Manade, go Manade. Yeah, I'm coming. Swing in, swing in. Me, what the fuck? Where? Here. There's an armor swap here if you need. Right here on me. I'm taking the knockdown down. No, he's one. What? I did so much there, boys. Me, dude.
Where are they? They're here on me, dude, and Alliance is going down. Team Singularity feeling the vibes. They just made one of the craziest rotations out of the choke, and they have elected to clear out the south side.
And it's a really rough fight to lose for Alliance, and one that they know they should have been able to get away with. Having been shut down this time, they do still manage to secure top 10. It'll be a little bit of a consolation prize for them. The Pioneers now have the opportunity to jump on ahead, and Moist still run the high ground where they started the game, where they very well may finish it. They picked up a little bit of KP along the way, but they are waiting for the game to come to them.
Team Singularity may have taken out Alliance, but they got punished immediately by KCP, who has their full 3-stack back. And now here's the deal with Sir Del on the Newcastle. We were talking about, hey, what's the worst thing? It's the nade spam. What's the best thing? Making unplayable spots playable.
They've certainly done that. Pioneers have so much more safety than they would be allowed by any other legend. And even with the rocks on low ground, it's an absolutely fine spot. With so many squads still left in the lobby, Pioneers are even going to be able to get aggressive onto Gunbury Otosan, while Onic, they start a engagement of their own, taking down Easy Flash. Remember, Black Hand's not getting back in the game. It's another kill point picked up for Onic, and a life well given.
That was kind of brutal, let me just tell you, man. Now Black Hand's a duo going into this end game. Gunbury Otosan, they're going to fall. 6 squads remaining, but yeah, they lost it on Easy Flash, but they've got a Kraber, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe we can connect a few with 7 bullets in the chamber. We look forward to that zone. Black Hand, if they can keep Pioneers from rotating on them, but Pioneers have found themselves, yes, they're playing a rock, but they're about to get sandwiched.
And this will require player K to really put down pressure with the Kraber. If Pioneers sense this weakness of a duo above them, and they don't get put down by a nice bit of damage at the start of their push, they're just going to keep going. Right now, even Nasky, feeling safe, is going to be able to push out from the rest of the squad, claim so much space for them, and challenge Moist for the high ground.
Looking for some angles there, but not necessarily overextending, throwing out the piercing spikes to put a mix into some things. But if you throw piercing spikes and then smoke it out, that is so confusing if you're the team that has all those abilities coming at you, because you're just trying to make your way through the smokes, and then you step on a spike. That has got to be influential. But Moist Esports playing from a really solid position here on the south side of Stormcatcher, throwing up the Dark Veil. We've got to move, but KCP has left the rock. They're working their way up. You see player K and strafing. If they hadn't have lost out on Easy Flash, this would have been so unique.
It would have been a fantastic position. Honestly, still can net them a nice few points. Wolverx, who have made their way down, will have to contend with FaZe, who have ultimate height at the moment. Don't have to drop down. And for FaZe, it's one more round of benefit. Phone does go low. Frex joins him, but this is a risky spot, and one that FaZe are not forced into by anything but their own hubris. It's a nice jump back up. Phonyhead keeps the squad safe.
That was a clean move there. As long as Frex stays up here and focus on healing, they have plenty of shield back, but being able to eliminate J-Link, get back to the high ground, avoid the engagements, because you see Polfrex is still inside. They have to push out. I mean, there's a little bit of dance going on, and Pioneers hitting the grab lift and making their move, trying to clean up.
Nice few bullets thrown in by Zane, the secret weapon of the Pioneers. Player K has gone down, as we know. That leaves just one member left on this squad. Pioneers are going to play the outside, play both sides of the engagement, taking out Blackhand ultimately, and leaving just Moist right next door to them. They can eliminate this squad, they can secure a top 3 position, and it doesn't look like Moist can do a whole lot about it.
Pioneers now have broken into the top 10 with 25 points. 3 squads in their way for a match win, but you've got Moist Esports, Pulverex, and FaZe, and you don't have Moist anymore. Top 3.
A nice elimination from Pioneers, and now they've got a really good spot. They're alone on this side of the ring, knowing that Pulverex and FaZe both have to come to them at the same time. It's a matter of holding this area, and with a Newcastle, you can get a more aggressive angle. Down drops FaZe, you're gonna have an insta push on them for Pulverex. They've got to defend from both sides, and yet they've already lost Snipe down. FaZe are gonna be melted by this gravity cannon.
But it's going to be Pioneers pushing in. Pulverex hasn't even moved yet. Phony is down. FaZe is eliminated. Now it's Pioneers versus Pulverex, who have left and are making the push with a dark veil. That's right from the contest. They've got Fuse in that legend composition, and if you're breaking it out, the knuckle clusters, the mother load, what does Nasky have to say about this?
It's just Nasky right now. Everyone else is trapped inside the mother load. He's going to hold it down as the fire burns. Does get a nice cheeky angle on this fence. No knock yet, but this damage that Nasky is putting in is saving Pioneers' game. They get seen on the other side. Pioneers go on the aggressive push. This should be their game, and in the midst of all the smoke, Pioneers have got the edge to make it happen, but Pulverex claw the game back.
Look, maybe Pulverex just needs more Fuse. We need more Fuse. Congratulations to Pulverex. Your match
Last hit,
5 winner. So
anjing.
impressive, right?
Nasaksi
They win that original contest against North Action and finally get to play the game, and they make their way from Thunderwatch to the Stormcatcher zone and go all the way.
Pulverex, that was such a back and forth fight. They ended up getting a dark veil. They didn't have to deal with FaZe. They had a nice mother load, but Nasky made this end game so impossible to play out cleanly. So much so that Pulverex were at a disadvantage going into that last clean gunfight, and still managed to pull it out. That is mechanical skill at its best.
I know, watching Nasky jump up on the high ground of that fence and just look around that dark veil while he still had his as well and never even had to utilize it. So I was so impressed with that, just bouncing back and forth on the high ground. At one point, it looked like it would have favored KCP, but the smoke, the chaos, all of it. Pulverex right there, 12 placement points, 8 eliminations. That's a 20-point game for them.
I honestly, I can't even say that it was the smokes, and part of that is going to have something to do with it, as you talk about the combination of smoke as well as spikes and catalyst really make fights impossible in the late game. And Pulverex, even having to face off against a squad that had the first one, had more damage, and Digis were still able to fight it out. They took so few fights this game. Pulverex were so passive, they went to dominate of APEX after the initial
After the initial success, let's look at it for Pulverex's POV, that final circle, right? This is where FaZe had elected to actually push down onto KCP early. So that was kind of wild, giving Pulverex a little bit more time to assess that situation, where they wanted to approach. They see final 2 squads, and that mother load is just ready and waiting to be unleashed. And here it goes. This is where things start to get nixy.
At this point, I just want to see how much damage Nasky is actually physically able to do. It's a quick retreat from him, because remember, he's buying time for the rest of the squad, and Pulverex never pushed past the dark veil. They don't want to take that risk, but shouldn't be almost going down. They've got to split up and cover as much ground as possible. If so little left in the ring, and Zane's finally able to come back over and do his thing, ultimately trading, leaving Pulverex with bolt on flesh. No Digis, just a rampage through.
命の重みを知りなさい。
治療しないとな。痛がっちゃいない。火の用心。
盤石天理チョーク
終わりね撤収捕まえた
薬も毒になり得ます。さあ苦尽甘来です。
気ぃつけるぜいやさあせっせっさっきおっとはーっやっほらおっ
You here,
え
you there, and that's kind of what had happened with that initial
Ah,
contest
jadi
there
lah,
with
gua
King.
tidur sih.
Got
Baterai gua
two
juga udah
eliminations
bertemu.
prior to moving on. Very strong, but these contests, that's why they got to get him out of the way. If you're contesting, do it in groups because you want to get all of your drop spot POIs claimed prior to moving into the bracket stages because you cannot afford to lose.
I love that you touch on that too, because right now, we're looking at the overall points. What we've got so far after 5 matches in this group, C and D, it's turning out to be, as we started, pretty top heavy. But Singularity clutching on the 2nd place so far.
難攻不落
痛がっちゃいないのどの目が出るかしら花火に行くねへっいやさっきはっやっはっやっいやふっせやっおっとピンクやで
岩山八九天道ここにあり
命の重みを知りなさい。
捕まえたはっと糸よ工作せよ気ぃつけるぜふっさあそりゃ
ALGS Watch Party fan, Vicky. Vicky, we got some fans in the house. How we feel and how does it feel to be the newest member of the ALGS Watch Party, right? But not only that, representing ALGS to the whole entire world and speak Spanish.
This is like an awesome opportunity. I'm very grateful because I used to do watch parties for every ALGS. Like I did them for 2 years from my setup in my home. And I think a lot of Hispanic members of the community really appreciated that because a lot of them don't speak English or they didn't know a lot of the teams. So it's very exciting to be able to represent them and to have my stream as a way of them to understand and to watch their favorite teams.
I love that. Crowd loves that as well. So they're loving you. They're loving you. So I gotta say this. I've known you for a while. I think maybe 3 years or something, and you've always been a grinder. The last year and a half, you have absolutely blown up, right? Congrats on your success. But how does it feel to be one of the biggest streamers in the world?
That sounds like real to just imagine. I'm very grateful again because I love streaming. I started with my streams in 2020, so I just did it as a hobby. I never expected to get like big or anything. I just enjoyed playing with my friends and just interacting with the community in general. So I'm very happy because growing as a streamer is something that we all dream about. And knowing that you can create like
全身ポカポカで気持ちええわ
with your favorite video game is always something I'm gonna be grateful for. And I mean, you have also blown up recently, so congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. It's a blessing to play video games for a living, but I think that's it. Congrats again, keep killing it, and D and Tiff, take it away.
Thank you very much, Peeps, and it was nice to grab that interview. I was really excited to see Vicky joining us. I tuned in for a few of her styles for a little while. Play with viewers, very entertaining, and a little bit of love. I want to throw over to Pokis as well, who covered this in Brazilian Portuguese, which is fantastic. We reached all of South America with these two, and they're amazing. So thank you both for your work. I don't expect they're watching. They got their own things going on. As we do prepare to jump into match 6, however, we're all pretty excited for this group, for the amount that we've seen these teams develop over the course of the single series. But we've still got some squads that do look for the more dominant game. I don't think
see some bronzy in the back as well. I just feel
Pikir
like
apa coba?
for them to really pop off and get that momentum moving forward. Because you think back to that last chance qualifier when we saw this team take the victory, right? The emotions on Timmy's face. Dude, I almost teared up watching when he posted that he qualified and throughout. That was so powerful, right? So I want to see another moment for that, especially the chance, right? A lot of our teams, we have all of the regions that have the last chance qualifiers. So for those teams coming in from that aspect, show out here, show us what you've got, and then, hey, who knows what's going to happen 3 or 4.
I mean, speaking of the last chance qualifiers, a member who was critical in their
新しい情報でも
isn't even on the stage right now, is in the audience. Jimmy's father was present during their LCQ run and managed to actually keep the team pretty darn happy with how they were performing. Keep, as we said, the vibes high. And he's in the audience. I saw his sign earlier. He's got the "Are You Winning, Son?" So if you've been here the whole time, you've likely seen him already. But it's been fantastic to see, as we so often do in Apex Legends, parents coming out to support the incredible athletes we've got on stage.
I mean, that's huge, right? We think of esports in general, and if you have your family in the crowd hyping you up, that warms my heart. That has to feel good knowing. I know that throughout this journey of, starting casting on the team as well, I've met a lot of the family, and Jen Burton's family is honestly one of my favorites as well over on DZ. Always here. I know we got Zero's dad in the audience, probably right in front of DZ somewhere, and that's amazing as well. It was crazy. Papa Jen Burton came up to me and was like, here's the deal. DZ's gonna win. And I was like, they are? He goes, 100%. So if he sees me and says that again, I guess it's all over for everyone.
Yeah, it
tidur.
is scary to
Ngantuk
hear a two-time champion from that's what I was talking
There's
about.
the son. Are
We
you
love it.
winning, son? I mean, Timmy's a memer, right? If you've ever been in Timmy's stream, I'm pretty sure he has 100 plus, quick, memes, and one of them being,
It's really fantastic, and that's what's going to be really important. Now, we've talked about the dojo a little bit. One of the teams that's flown under the radar a bit, but was really integral in the way last game played out, is Moist, and they had some big expectations coming into today that
Thank you. Bentaran sih, nggak sampai sejam kan. See you the next stream. Gue mau tidur, mau nonton sih sebenarnya. Tidur, nonton sambil baring. Thank you. Oh iya, untuk konten spiral habis mungkin dah kalau gue sempet dah. Masih berapa lama kan? Masih lama kan ya. Paling kalau nggak Minggu, Senin lah paling lah. Ntar lihat aja lah.